There's a car that's coming on the right-hand side, a Seat Leon, don't know the model or anything, but it was blue, comes straight down, no speed, nothing, normal, on the right-hand side. We were always on the left-hand side. This right-hand side car's come now, the Leon, the blue one, has come straight next to me and come right in front of me, not very close. I've always said to myself, I'm a very good driver when it comes to this. I've been driving for 5 years, 45 years, and I've said to myself, always keep a 2 to 3 second rule gap, always, when I've said to myself, always done that. So this car's come not close, I've always braked. So I was doing.
The night 2 young men died on a dark highway, a TikTok influencer was on the phone saying, "We're going to block him in." What started as a secret turned into a deadly chase. No one could escape it. Didn't look like a story that would end in tragedy. Mahek Bukhari was just another rising name on TikTok, posting lifestyle clips, gaining followers, living what seemed like a normal young life. Around 150,000 people watched her content, liked her videos, and saw only what she chose to show. But behind the screen, something much more complicated was happening. It started with a secret. A man named Saqib Hussain had been in a hidden relationship, not with Mahek but with her mother. What seemed like a private situation slowly turned tense, emotional, and unpredictable. Messages were exchanged, feelings got messy, and eventually things turned bitter. Saqib didn't want to stay silent anymore. He began threatening to expose everything, not just the relationship, but personal details that could destroy reputations, break trust, and bring public shame. In today's world where everything can go viral in seconds, that kind of threat carries serious weight. And that's when panic started to grow. According to what later came out in court, calls and messages started flying between Mahek and her mother. There was fear, anger, pressure. It wasn't just about keeping a secret anymore, it was about stopping someone from speaking. That night, everything escalated. Saqib wasn't alone. He was with his friend Hashim Ijazuddin. The two were driving, likely unaware of just how serious things had become. Then they realized they were being followed. At first, it might have felt like nothing, just another car behind them. But the tension grew fast. The following car didn't slow down. It didn't turn away. It stayed close, too close. Phone calls were happening in real time. Words were being said that couldn't be taken back. Decisions were being made in seconds that would change lives forever. The situation turned into a chase. Speeds increased. Roads blurred. Fear kicked in. Saqib reportedly tried to get away, driving faster and faster, hoping to escape whoever was behind him. But the pressure didn't stop. The car chasing them stayed locked in. What was supposed to be a confrontation became something far more dangerous. And then in one terrible moment, everything went wrong. The car carrying Saqib and Hashim lost control at high speed. The crash that followed wasn't just an accident. It was the end of 2 young lives. Silence replaced the chaos. But the story was just beginning. Because what happened that night would soon be investigated, questioned, and taken to court, uncovering messages, calls, and decisions that painted a much darker picture than anyone expected. And at the center of it all was a TikTok influencer many people thought they knew. If you're watching this right now, comment where you're watching from. I want to see how far this story reaches. This next part will reveal what was said during those phone calls and how it became key evidence in court. What if the most dangerous part of that night wasn't the crash, but the words said on the phone just minutes before it happened? After the crash, everything didn't just end, it started unraveling. Investigators began digging deeper into what really happened that night. At first, it looked like a tragic high-speed accident, but something didn't sit right. Witness reports, car movements, and most importantly, phone records began telling a different story. The phones became the key. Call logs showed that during the chase there were active conversations happening. Not random calls, coordinated ones. Voices filled with urgency, instructions, pressure. At the center of those calls was Mahek Bukhari. And what shocked investigators most was what was reportedly said. Phrases like "we're going to block him" and painted a picture that this wasn't just a coincidence or panic reaction. It suggested intention, a plan forming in real time. Meanwhile, inside the other car, Saqib Hussain was realizing the danger. Messages later revealed he knew he was being followed. He was scared. He was trying to escape. But the faster he drove, the more intense the situation became. The road that night became a trap. And the calls kept coming. When investigators pieced everything together, it no longer looked like a simple argument gone wrong. It looked like something that escalated into a coordinated pursuit. And that changed everything. Because now it wasn't just about a crash. It was about responsibility. If you're still watching, comment your country below. Let's see how global this story is. Gets deeper. Because what investigators found in the messages before that night revealed this didn't start suddenly. What if this deadly night was planned long before anyone got into a car? As investigators went through phones, they didn't just focus on that night, they went back days before it. And what they found raised even more questions. Messages between Mahek Bukhari, her mother, and others showed rising tension. This wasn't a one-time argument. It had been building. There were warnings, there were threats. And there was fear of exposure. Saqib Hussain had reportedly been insisting on revealing the secret relationship. For him, it may have felt like leverage. But for the other side, it felt like a ticking time bomb. Reputation, family image, public shame, all of it was at risk. And in a world where social media can destroy lives overnight, that fear can push people into desperate decisions. The tone of the messages changed over time. What started as arguments turned into something more serious, discussions that suggested confronting him, stopping him, silencing the situation before it got out. So when that night came, it wasn't random. It was the result of everything that had been building. And now, with this evidence, the case was getting stronger, because it showed motive. And motive changes how everything is judged. Next part is where everything shifts, because the people involved didn't stay silent after the crash. You'd expect panic, fear, maybe regret. But what happened next raised even more suspicion. In the moments after the crash, confusion filled the air. But investigators weren't just looking at the accident, they were watching behavior. How did the people connected to the situation react? What did they say? What did they do next? Attention quickly turned back to Mahek Bukhari and those with her. Instead of a clear picture, there were inconsistencies. Statements didn't fully match timelines. Movements raised questions. And when authorities started putting everything side by side, the calls, the messages, the chase, it began to form a narrative that was hard to ignore. This wasn't just about being present. It was about involvement. Meanwhile, families of Hashim Ijazuddin and Saqib were left with devastating loss, trying to understand how something like this could happen over a situation that should never have escalated this far. The case was no longer private. It became public. And once it did, everything changed. Next part is where the courtroom comes in. And that's where the truth really started to unfold. When the case entered the courtroom, the evidence told a story no one could ignore. The trial brought everything into the open. Every message, every call, every movement. Prosecutors laid out the sequence of events, arguing that this was not just a tragic accident but a result of deliberate actions. The calls during the chase were played. The messages leading up to it were examined. And step by step, the timeline was rebuilt in front of everyone. Mahek Bukhari was no longer just a social media personality. She was now a central figure in a case that had taken 2 lives. The prosecution focused on one key idea, that the pursuit created a situation so dangerous it led directly to the fatal crash. The defense, on the other hand, tried to challenge that narrative, questioning intent, questioning interpretation, questioning whether everything was as clear as it seemed. But the evidence was heavy, and the pressure in the courtroom was intense. Because at the end of it all, the jury had to decide one thing: was this just a tragic mistake, or something more serious? Next part reveals the verdict, and it shocked many people following the case. The verdict came in, and it changed everything for everyone involved. After everything was presented, the jury reached a decision. It wasn't quick, it wasn't simple, but when it finally came out, it was clear. Mahek Bukhari and her mother were found guilty of murder. The courtroom fell into a heavy silence. For the families of Saqib Hussain and Hashim Ijazuddin, it was a moment filled with mixed emotions, justice, grief, and the painful reality that nothing could bring their loved ones back. For Mahek, it marked the end of one life and the beginning of another, one defined by the consequences of that night. What started as a private situation had now become a national headline. And people everywhere were asking the same question. How did it go this far? Next part is the final part. And it's the part that really makes you think. 2 lives lost. Multiple lives changed forever. All because a secret couldn't stay hidden. This story isn't just about one night. It's about choices, about how pressure, fear, and reputation can push situations beyond control. Mahek Buckery once had a growing audience, a platform, and a future many people admired. But everything changed because of decisions made in moments of panic and emotion. And at the center of it all were 2 young men, Saqib Hussein and Hashim Ijazuddin, who lost their lives in a situation that should never have escalated. It's a reminder that actions have consequences, that some decisions can't be undone, and that sometimes one night is all it takes to change everything. If you made it this far, comment where you're watching from and your thoughts on this case. Would this situation have ended differently if things were handled calmly? Or was it already too far gone? Let's talk.